我哋夠鐘。
Members, it's already the appointed time, and we've formed a quorum. May I call the meeting to order? Of the meeting on the subcommittee on the two proposed resolutions relating to the establishment of the Innovation and Technology Bureau. We have to elect the chairman for the subcommittee. Nominations, please. Mr. Andrew Leung, I nominate Mr. Loh Wai Kwok. Any seconder? Mr. Kwok him seconds. Mr. Loh Wai Kwok, are you willing to accept? I do. All right. Mr. Sin Chung Kai, I nominate Mr. Charles Mock. Any seconder? Ms. Claudia Mo. Mr. Charles Mock, do you accept? I do, okay. Then we have to ask our staff to hand out the ballot papers by secret ballot. You will be given a ballot paper as well as a chop.
咁喺我哋兩
A number will be assigned to each candidate according to the order of nomination. Number 1, Mr. Loh Wai Kwok. Number 2, Mr. Charles Mock. Please pick the candidate you choose and fix the seal to the number. Mr. Wong Yok Man is not yet a member, so he will not be given any ballot paper. We will approve your membership after the election. How many ballot papers have we distributed? How many? 15. Okay. So please proceed to vote. Any questions? If not, voting is closed. Staff, please collect the ballot papers. There is no need to fold up the paper. And the two nominating members, please supervise the counting of votes. Mr. Andrew Leung and Mr. Sin Chung Kai. Hang on. What I meant was after we've collected all the ballot papers, and then you come out. Voting is closed. The two nominating members, please come out to supervise the counting of votes. Number 2. Number 2. Number 1. Number 1. Number 1. Number 1. Number 1. Number 2. Number 2. Number 1. Number 1. Number 1. Number 1. Number 1. Number 1. Number 2 got 3 votes. Number 1, 12. So I declare number 1, Mr. Loh Wai Kwok, elected chairman of the subcommittee. Congratulations.
選票隨後我哋就會銷毀㗎。
The ballot papers will be destroyed.
係，唔係問佢哋。好多謝啊陳。
Thank you, Mr. Chen Kamlam, for chairing the election process. I'd like to consult members whether we need a deputy chairman. Okay, if the answer is no, we can continue. Please invite the administration. Before the administration joins us, we have to deal with a late application for membership. Mr. Wong Yuk Men said that he could not submit his application to join the subcommittee by the deadline, the 15th of April, and he would like to apply to join the subcommittee to the chairman at the first meeting. So, members, any comments, please? Any views? Okay, no objection. Does anyone want to speak or to oppose his application? No, then we agree that Mr. Wong Yuk Men can join the subcommittee without the need to hold special meetings. Please invite the administration to join us.
好收翻先。就出席我哋今日呢個會。
From the administration, we have Mr. Joe Wong, Deputy Secretary for Commerce and Economic Development, Ms. Susie Ho, Permanent Secretary from the same bureau, Ms. Joey Lam, Deputy Government Chief Information Officer, Mr. Ivanhoe Zhang, PAS for Commerce and Economic Development, as well as Ms. Angie Lee, Senior Government Counsel. PS, Ms. Susie Ho, can you please introduce the resolution to us? Thank you. To set up the ITB on the 29th on the 29th of October 2014, a resolution was passed in the Council for the statutory duties to be transferred from the SED to the S4IC. And the commencement date will be on the 14th day after the day on which the FC approves the proposal to make changes to the estimates of expenditure for 2014-15 to provide for matters arising from the establishment of the ITB, or the 14th day after the day on which the original resolution is made and passed, whichever is the latter. Since the original resolution was passed but the funding proposal could not be approved by the FC in time for the relevant changes to be included in the draft estimates of estimate for 2015-16, which was introduced in the Council on the 25th of February 2015. So, after the draft estimates 2015-16 is approved, we are going to submit under the proposed resolution. We wanted to amend the original resolution by virtue of Section 54A of the IGCO. However, considering that the legal advisor of the Council has concerns about the effect of the original resolution, we proposed not to proceed with the proposed path. We will appeal the original resolution and we will submit a fresh resolution for the transfer of the relevant statutory functions. I'd like to reiterate that this approach is solely to avoid time being unnecessarily spent on an argument over a technical legal issue, and hence to expedite the legislative process. And this does not prejudice our above position and should not be regarded as a precedent. The repeal resolution will repeal the original resolution, and the new resolution is identical to one passed by the Council on the 29th of October 2014. We have just changed the reference to the estimates of expenditure for 2014-15 with estimates of expenditure for 2015-16, so that the new resolution will come into effect on the 14th day after the day on which the FC approves the proposal to make changes to the estimates of expenditure for 2015-16, or the 14th day after the day on which the original motion is made and passed, whichever is the latter. This is just a technical amendment. There is no change in essence to the resolution. Thank you. Members and Assistant Legal Advisor, do you have any comments or queries to what the PS said just now? Mr. Wong Kwok Heng, Mr. Albert Chen, Ms. Claudia Mo, any more members? Since the turnout is rather big today, for the time being, each member can have up to 5 minutes. Mr. Wong Kwok Heng, as we all know, the resolution to establish the ITB was aborted because of filibustering. There are already 3,000 odd amendments submitted to the draft estimates 2015-16 or the appropriation bill. We don't know how long the debate will drag on, and very soon the administration will propose the electoral reform package. The last sitting for this session is at around mid-July. So counting from today, when the subcommittee is established, I fail to see how much time we have left to deal with the resolutions. Don't know whether after the resolutions are passed, the administration can seek funding from the FC in time, and there is a big question mark. So I'd like to ask the administration, do you believe that the resolutions can be passed within this year? If yes, are you confident that you can get the funding approval? If, due to the obstruction by the opposition camp, these resolutions meet the same fate as their predecessor, what will be the administration's fallback? Of course, I support the resolutions. Ms. Ho. There are 2 steps for the establishment of the ITB. First, transfer of statutory functions, and second, the approval of the FC. So the new resolution will commence on the 14th day after the occurrence of either, whichever is the later. So we have to go back to the council to propose the legislation. We hope that everything can be done within or by July. But of course, things are beyond our control, but we have that objective in mind. Regarding the financial arrangements, we hope that after the resolutions are passed, we can go back to FC and continue with our discussion. Looking back, in January and February, there was already a protracted debate. I hope we'll be able to address members' concerns as much as possible for the funding proposal to be approved as soon as possible. This is still our target, but of course, I have to admit that things are not entirely in our control. Mr. Wong, the administration has told us its difficulties, but it has not told us whether there is any fallback. Because time is really running out for this legislative session. If the administration is not properly prepared, I'm worried that given the current political state in the Council, filibustering and procrastination can cause the ITB to be aborted once again.
The administration really has to think of ways and means to do something. Can you respond further in the remaining seconds? I think we should tackle the issue in a rational way. There is the need to set up the Bureau. There has been a consensus and also a lot of discussion. We are confident we can do it. But as I said, we can do as much as we can within what we can do, but the pace is not totally within our control. If we cannot get the endorsement of the Legislative Council, the Bureau cannot be set up. That is a fact. Mr. Albert Chan. Thank you, Chairman. I'd like to compliment Mr. Wong Kwok Heng for his sense of crisis. If the Bureau directors in Hong Kong also have that kind of attitude, in other words, also having a sense of crisis, I'm sure many crises can be averted. We object to the setting up of the IT Bureau. It was 2 years ago, but Mr. Grexo never said one word to me. He did not lobby us. He did not ask us what we would do. He was in his own ghetto. You can see how the Bureau directors tackle issues. They seem they don't care. This is what C.Y. Leung proposes to do, and it seems they don't care. That attitude is quite obvious. Whether it be the PS or the Secretary or the Undersecretary, the entire Bureau should be ashamed. You should want to hide from us. It is your Bureau, and INT is totally within your jurisdiction. You already have a department doing it, and you have to admit that you are incompetent because you need another bureau to be set up to do it. Shouldn't you be ashamed of yourselves? Mr. Chairman, now they are submitting it again. There is nothing new. The administration should explain to the public and to the Legislative Council and also this subcommittee, because we asked questions but they were not answered. You used to have information, but now you take it out. That is a major change. The first time you came, it was vetoed. You were talking about a restructuring of the bureaus and departments. The proposal was vetoed and it was delayed for 2 years, and then Mrs. Fanny Fan, or Fanny Law, was championing it, but all the bureau directors hid away. Mrs. Fanny Law took it upon herself to lobby members, but then the administration did not explain why information was taken out from the scope of this bureau. Information is important. Mr. Grexo could not do it, then how come you think a new bureau director can do it? Is it that the new bureau director will have a political mission to give a license to ATV and never a license to Hong Kong TV? What factors do you base on to take out information from the scope of this bureau? What about the people in the present bureau? Because their jurisdiction will be reduced. You are hiving off half of your duties to another bureau. So what about the staff who will remain behind in the present bureau? Is it that they will just be going around and distributing the call cards like the bureau director? P.S. Thank you. Our proposal is, if you still remember, under the CED Bureau now, we have the ITF, the IT Fund, and also OGCIO. These two units are responsible for INT. We'd like to transfer these to the new bureau. Mr. Chan may be thinking about communications because he mentioned communications. As I explained in previous meetings, communications would include broadcasting and telecommunications. There is a regulatory side to these matters. They are related to INT, but then the relationship is not direct. After consideration, we believe INT should be hived off to a new bureau, and we think the arrangement is appropriate. Certainly, a function will be hived off from a present bureau. Now, does it mean then the bureau can do much more as a result? The PA mentioned that in terms of communications, we have always said that the Broadcasting Ordinance and the Communications Ordinance would have to be reviewed. And we'd like to review the entire policy, actually, because we have not done it for a long time. When the Communications Ordinance was passed, this was what we said as well. So we believe the Bureau will have new tasks to do. And as for the new Bureau, we discussed before that after it is set up, we hope it will have more capacity to communicate with different stakeholders and departments, so we can achieve better collaboration between the officials, that is government, academics, researchers, and other people. Claudia Mo, just now some members regret the council for filibustering, and the officials say they find the effort quite futile. I like to say the legislature is an independent entity, and we monitor the work of the government and how it spends money. Okay, filibustering. Mr. Jasper Zhang, just now. Made a decision on 3,000 odd amendments proposed by Mr. Leung Kwok Hong. In the past, there was time given for questions to be asked, but now the amendments were dismissed without any questioning. Coming back to this subcommittee, I like to ask about a timetable. You just say there is very little you can do. But you did not answer questions in the Finance Committee. There is a lot of duplication. You say you want to enhance creativity, but this government stifles creativity. And also the criticism of the Leung's fan club. You are using public money to create this entity just to benefit your own people. It is really alarming. What is your timetable? If you just say you can do very little, is it because you are thinking of different tricks to circumvent the LegCo? As long as you don't spend more than $10 million, you can circumvent the Legislative Council. The PS can respond, but in fact the PS has already said that their target timetable is that they hope we can submit this resolution to the Council before July. I think they have already told us their target timetable. No, she did not answer whether this will be passed within the year. She just said that there is very little they can do. Maybe the PS can respond. What I heard was that there were other factors that would be outside their control. Therefore, she was not sure whether this would be endorsed before July. Thank you, Chairman. I think you have understood me very well. In the transfer of legislative functions, the procedure is such that first of all we have to have the subcommittee's endorsement, and then we will table the resolution at the Legislative Council. This is quite clear because we have done it before. And then at the Finance Committee, if you ask me for the timetable, it should have been in February. If the situation was a little more ideal, the resolution would have been passed. So if you ask me for a timetable, I would hope before July, before your recess. Mr. Felix Chong. Thank you, Chairman. Last time, the resolution was not supported by the Finance Committee. There was filibustering because many members were unhappy with it. Some said why only 2 departments would be hived off. As The PS also mentioned broadcasting and telecommunications. And what about intellectual property and creative industries? I think even you, Chairman, you yourself also said that those should be hived off. This time you submit the same resolution, and I'm afraid you would face the same result as last time. But maybe the Bureau can respond to members' requests, and that is to hive off other functions to the new Bureau. And this may cause the filibustering members to accept your proposal. I have read Financial Magazine interviewing Mr. Grexel, and Mr. Grexel is actually heading a bureau with the most number of departments, and he said he gets very tired doing his job. And even the head of the bureau says he is so tired working on his job. Then why don't you hive off more functions to the new bureau? Because Mr. Grexel may be working flat out and the new bureau chief will have nothing to do. P.S. Thank you, Chairman. I think we discussed this before. I remember at the FC and also during the PA debate, the Bureau Director mentioned that the new Bureau would only look after innovation and technology. The beauty is that there is a major focus, and so there will be more results. But there is no ruling out of a review after some time and after the Bureau is up and kicking. So we can hive off more functions to the new Bureau. But to make things simple and straightforward, if we were to also hive off creative industries to the new Bureau, then we will have to reconsider the entire issue. All the data, the policy intent, all of that would have to be reviewed. I'm afraid if we were to do that, we will wait long and hard for the new Bureau to be set up. In fact, we have taken a look internally, and we think the present approach is appropriate. Mr. Chung, this was what you also said last time, and even the Bureau Director said the same thing. We, of course, are aware of the situation, but the thing is, if you don't propose any changes, then pan-democrat members would again argue about the same things, and you may lose more than you gain. You may need more time, yes, PS, to reconsider the issue, but then the time you spend may be less than the filibustering that they are going to stage. PS, maybe we differ in view. I could think back to February. If time was not that tight and if it was not so close to the 25th of February, if there were more time, I believe we would have been able to explain more. As I said, the arrangement for setting up the Bureau would be more ideal. Now we have lost a few months. I still hope that in July we will be able to have enough time to discuss this at the Finance Committee, and so we can get your support. Mr. Albert Chan, second round, 4 minutes. How many more members do we have? What is the quorum for the meeting? What is the quorum for the meeting? 8 members. We don't have a quorum, Chairman. Let us ring the bell for members to come back. Mr. Felix Chung, yes? Is it that we wait 15 minutes? We are calling members to come back. Yes, we have to have the clock ticking. We wait 15 minutes.
今日同呢個時間好似係另外一個得一個咋嘛？仲有冇睇啲事務委員會係政制啊嘛？嗬。仲爭3位。
We are still 3 short.
梁君議員，你唔係都係政
Mr. Andrew Leung, are you a member of the CA panel?
制嗰邊應該仲有。
There should be some subcommittee members still in the CA panel.
呢個鐘唔係，因為頭先係發言15分鐘。
15 minutes. We are counting time.
仲爭2個我哋。
We're still 5 members short. We're too short.
仲爭1個。
1 short.
我夠啦，好。
All right, we formed a quorum. We formed a quorum, 8 members. Yes, Mr. Albert Chan speaking for the second time, 4 minutes. Mr. Albert Chan, your turn. I think we should not allow so many meetings to clash. We should take matters seriously. This is about establishment of a new bureau. If we are so supportive, we should sit right here and listen to the administration's explanation. I hope that there can be a paper from the administration to explain to us the establishment of the new bureau, the workload, so on and so forth. To be fair to the PS and also other civil servants. Now let's not consider the politically appointed officers. The Secretary for Education, have been to the mainland a dozen of times, and as we all know, when you are on duty visit to the mainland, you are entertained with feasts so and that. So some civil servants are very busy. I'd like to know, after this new division of labor, Now, we're told as if without the new bureau, Hong Kong would collapse. And Mr. Siwalan said that with a new bureau, we can resolve the elderly problems and poverty and this and that. He talked about $15 million. Now, for the elderly, non-skilled, and semi-skilled workers, how are they going to benefit with this new bureau? I'd like to know whether division of labor is fair and reasonable under the new arrangement. And when the proposal was first thrown out, I said that a new IT bureau must ensure that scientific or R&D products can be commercialized. Otherwise, efforts will be futile. We visited the Science Park not long ago. R&D was extremely successful, but there was no opportunity for the outcome to be commercialized. The items might benefit Hong Kong, but we do not have the manufacturing basis. So we might have spent millions and hundreds of millions dollars on R&D, and subsequently the copyright or patent might be sold to a manufacturer. And this is futile. So I hope there can be a verbal or written explanation as to how this bureau can assist the commercialization of R&D products. Fanny Law lobbied me, and I said to her categorically that if you could guarantee that there can be a system or institution set up so that all R&D outcome could be commercialized, well, R&D should be merged with our 5 major industries, whether it be medicine or jewelry and watch. Well, if R&D in medicine is successful, then the production should be done in Hong Kong. This will assist our manufacturing industry. I hope the administration can answer these 2 questions. Before the PS replies, may I remind members that, as we all know, last year on the 29th of October, a similar resolution was passed by the Council. The only difference in this new resolution is just a change in the fiscal year referred to. I'm sure Mr. Albert Chan's questions can be easily answered because they were already visited at the last debate. The direction, the mission, and the establishment, and the relationship with our manufacturing industries. Now, of course, this is a new subcommittee, and you have in front of you the new resolution, although it is very similar to the original resolution. Now, I'm not preventing members from asking questions, but since these areas have been covered in the past, I hope the administration can give us the answers very quickly. Yes, in around May and June last year, the establishment of the new bureau was approved by the ESC. So the division of labor, the establishment, and the relationship between the new bureau and the old bureau, details can be found in the relevant ESC paper. I'm more than happy to give members a copy of the paper once again. As regards integration with our manufacturing industry, I think Mr. Bachan has asked a very valid question. We hope that with the bureau set up, we can have a dedicated bureau to do this, so that R&D products can be commercialized and can be made use of in our manufacturing industry. Mr. Albert talked about medicine. My understanding is for R&D product of medicine to be manufactured, it is not a simple task. Perhaps it will be much easier. We have a new bureau set up dedicated to this task. So we have not ruled out the possibility of integration with the industries. So instead of a low value-added manufacturing industry, we can consider a high value-added manufacturing industry, and we should explore how R&D results can be commercialized. And the reality is most factories have moved to across the border. Some can come back, but there is no ruling out that R&D of these factories are done in Hong Kong while manufacturing is done elsewhere. R&D products should be commercialized, and I think the new bureau will be more capable of making this possible. Any more member? If not, Mr. Albert Chen will be speaking for the third time. Mr. Charles Mock for the first time only. Yes, for the subcommittee's information. I hope that the Bureau would not overlook what Mr. Albert Chen said just now, and that is the relationship between R&D and high-tech manufacturing industries. We may think that in Silicon Valley there is just the headquarters of Facebook and software companies. In fact, according to statistics from the U.S., in Silicon Valley, 46% of the practitioners are engaged in the manufacturing industry, from semiconductor to airplanes to drugs. You should not rule out the development of manufacturing industry. Yes, R&D product can be manufactured elsewhere, but they can also be produced in Hong Kong. So the two must complement one another to be successful. Even at FC meetings, some members asked about the fate of our manufacturing industries, and the Secretary just said that we have no land. So even members representing the industrial sector were very unhappy. So we are very backward in the understanding of development of high-tech industry. Perhaps that's the reason why Mr. Grexel is not given the task to follow through this project. And I hope that when the administration starts to lobby us for support of the ITB, please approach us. In particular, members with lots of questions, no matter whether you're of the view that the problems are theirs or yours. I hope you can approach them and lobby them so that you can address those questions outside the council and not wait until a special FC meeting. We have rounds of 5 minutes, 4 minutes, and 3 minutes, and those answers cannot really be answered, and we will be filibustering again. So Mr. Bertrand said that Mr. Grexel has never approached him. Can we ask Ms. Susie Ho to urge the Secretary to explain more frequently or more often to opposing members or members who have queries for the proposal? P.S. Yeah, I will certainly relay this message to the Secretary. And for this new resolution alone, I personally have approached members that may not be entirely on my side, on our side, and so has the Secretary. So this is what we have been doing all along. Any other members? Mr. Albert Chen for the third time. 3 minutes, please. I hope the administration can give us a paper on support to our industries and the support for our manufacturing industry.
As Mr. Charles Mock said, even if we talk to people who support INT, be they school principals or members of the different camp and officials, no one could answer the question on the land sufficiency. As you know, the industrial estates are all filled up and you can't even build another new one. With the revitalization of factory buildings, the gross floor area for industries has disappeared to the tune of 75%. Compared to previous years, we have a severe lack of industrial land. In certain industrial buildings, the per square foot rent is over $20. They used to be like $3 to $4 to $5 only. If you want to set up the I&T Bureau before you support industrial development in Hong Kong, well, look at the rent. And how can people do any meaningful manufacturing when the rent is so high? It is impossible. Please give us a paper to explain the sufficiency or otherwise of industrial land. If you want to make certain products, you may not always go to the industrial estate because the areas there are too vast. So don't just paint a rosy picture and give us a game plan. This is not the attitude of the PS, of course, but CY Leung is saying nonsense. Some officials only have research in mind. They do not think of production. I have talked to principals. They say production is as important as research. Now there is a gap between the two. Given the present situation, I can't see how, in terms of resources, personnel training, and land resources, that people can have meaningful production done. The Bureau Director is not here, so I'm not saying that this is the PS responsibility. I really think someone is making life difficult for the civil servants. They don't make the policies, but they are here to have to answer questions. 689 only wants glory. I have not finished. He talked about the IVS. Your 3 minutes are up. I will allow the PS to answer. I need a written reply. I want written information. But I will allow the PS to give you an oral reply first. I'm sure the PS can give you a written paper. But please, I like to remind members that you know the resolution is about the transfer of functions. If you extend it to whether the INTB should be set up or not, or how it should develop, well, I don't mind you going into that area, but you should not drag on for too long, because we are a subcommittee to study the resolution only. We are not a panel. Ms. Ho, please give your response. Thank you, Chairman. Industrial policy, yes, it is a very big area and we can spend a lot of time on it. Whether we have enough industrial land and how the industrial estates should develop, I'm sure the panels can discuss this. If you want me to give you a paper, I already have a paper that I can give you. But I'd just like to say that the setting up of the INTB is important in one way, and that is about the collaboration between government, industry, academics, and researchers. There are 4 units in this collaboration. We are doing it, but we want to do it better if we have the new bureau. So where should industries go? Is it that the rentals are so high industries cannot survive? Or can you go for high value added production? This is something we have to look at in the long term. If you ask us to resolve all these problems before the bureau can be set up, then why don't you just say the bureau should not be set up? If we can have better collaboration between government, academics, and industry, and also researchers, then I'm sure the road will be made easier. Just now the PS said she could give us a paper. Mr. Ng Lang Sing. If the government can provide information to Mr. Chan, then the problem can be resolved. But then land use is not something simple, and the government has some reservations. If you look at NTNE, we were asked for money to do advanced research, and it was already so difficult here in the council. So I think it is quite difficult for the administration. And also, you have to think about investment. Mr. Albert Chan is not here, but he also always says there is collusion between government and business. And of course, the target will be developers who are going for diversified investments. Maybe they would like to go into INT, and then there will be the criticism about collusion. I hope when members speak, they should do so in a responsible manner. When the government will look for land and seek cooperation with developers, I hope they will have the interest of Hong Kong in mind, and the transformation of Hong Kong and industrial transformation of Hong Kong. Please do not only ask questions for the sake of involving in political struggle. And in the end, the members will again take the government to task. I hope this will not happen. After the paper is submitted, I hope there will not be many more questions, because that will be quite irresponsible and impractical. I hope after the paper comes, we can solve problems, including those raised by Mr. Chan. He mentioned land. Well, I think the information to be supplied can be for reference, and I don't think it will stand in the way of a clause-by-clause examination of the resolution, and of course subject to members' agreement. I think we can go into that today. I don't think we need to wait for the paper to be submitted, but that paper can be for reference. Mr. Tony Chair, first time, 5 minutes. Thank you, Chairman. As you said, the purpose of setting up this subcommittee is to look at the resolution itself. But talking about the INT Bureau, of course, I will support it, and I think we very much need it. The Bureau will have a big responsibility. Can we add value to our industries? I think the Bureau will have a central role to play in that. And it is not only Hong Kong that is talking about it. Many other places and countries have advanced before us, and we can see the results they are delivering. Just now, members asked many questions, and I think these go to show the importance of setting up the Bureau. The Bureau can concentrate on this, and it can look at a wider scope. As the PS was saying, we need collaboration between government, industry, academics, and researchers. Some people have been involved in R&D. We need to see how the R&D results can be commercialized. We hope the Bureau can really attend to this in future. And then we'll be able to deliver results. So if you ask many questions, why don't you just support the Bureau? And after that, you can follow up on the questions. But if you don't set up the Bureau, we will not be able to have a focused approach in order to find answers to the questions, because without the Bureau, we cannot make long-term appropriate policies. And Chairman, I'm just here to say that I support the setting up of the Bureau. If members have no other questions, I would propose that we start the clause-by-clause examination of the resolution. The PS, can you take us through the resolution? Annex A, right? IGCO. Let us look at the Chinese version. We'll use the Chinese version. And of course, from time to time, we will look at the English. So it's almost like parallel. Can we ask the legal official to say something? Ms. Lee? Thank you, Chairman. First paragraph, a definition of the commencement date. We have A and B. Sorry, we are looking at Annex A, the repeal resolution. That's very simple, but nevertheless, we want to go through it. Thank you, Chairman. There is just one line in this repeal resolution. Resolved that the resolution made and passed by the Legislative Council on the 29th of October 2014 and published in the Gazette as legal notice number 132 of 2014 be repealed. This is the original resolution, as we call it in this paper. Oh, okay, that's very clear. We have discussed why it should be repealed. And as I said in my introductory remarks, Annex B, the proposed resolution, only the commencement date is changed. First of all, we need to repeal the original resolution that was endorsed on the 29th of October 2014 first. I have read it. I don't think there is a problem. Maybe members can also look at the English version. You'll have it with you. Okay, no particular comments. Annex B, please. Annex B, is that the old one? Okay, let's go to Annex C, the new resolution. Annex B is just for your reference. It has to be repealed. Annex C. Ms. Lee. Thank you, Chairman. Annex C is the new resolution. It is pretty much the same as the one passed on the 29th of October last year, except in the first paragraph, the commencement date. In the old one, the estimates of expenditure would be that of 2014-15, but now we have changed it to 2015-16. And when the resolution will come into effect, it will depend on either one of the dates, and that is when the FC supports the relevant allocation for setting up the INT Bureau, or 14 days after the passing of this resolution, whichever is the latter. Whichever is later.
Any question?
If you contrast it with Annex B, they are more or less the same. It's just that the financial year is changed. Any more views? If not, Ms. Lee, please. Thank you, Chairman. Paragraph B. This is the meat of the resolution. And that is according to Section 54A of the IGCO, the functions of the ETO would be transferred from the SCED to the Secretary for INT, and B, the functions of the PS for C&D Bureau would be transferred to the PS for INT. And also, with regard to the functions of the previous Secretary and the PS, they will be changed to the new Bureau Chief and the new PS.
Now, if members take a look at Appendix B, that is the resolution passed on the 29th of October last year. That's just the same. Any question? If not, please go on. Section 3 relates to general transitional provisions from A to E. A provides that some duties should be transferred from a public officer to a new officer, that is under the Electronic Transactions Ordinance. Any questions? No? Then B. B is similar in nature to A. It's just that under the Electronic Transaction Ordinance, anything that is being done or in the process of being done by a former officer can be transferred to the new officer. Any questions? No? A, B, and C are similar. That is anything that is being done by a former officer will be transferred to the new officer before the commencement date or during the transition. I think we discussed this last time, and we don't see any major change. D. This is more specific. Says that without limiting subparagraphs A, B, and C, and insofar as necessary, the purpose or in consequence of the transfer of functions under this resolution, 1. Any document, agreement, arrangement creating or giving rise to legal rights for or obligations that refers to a former officer will be construed as if the references to the former officer included references to the new officer. Any question, please, members? Please go on, Ms. Lee. Thank you. Roman 2. Any legal proceedings that are subsisting immediately before the commencement date and which a former officer is a party, then the new officer is to substitute for the former officer as that party. Thank you. Roman 3. Any right of appeal to a former officer that is subsisting immediately before the commencement date, we treat it as being a right of appeal to the new officer. Any views, please? Please go on, Ms. Lee. Okay. 4. Any form under the ET Ordinance for use in connection with any function of a former officer may be used despite the fact that it contains references to the former officer, and those references are to be construed as references to the new officer. Any questions, please? No? Please go on. E. E is about document, agreement, or arrangement. Compared with D, Roman 1, these documents and agreements, arrangement are those without any legal obligations. If there is any reference to a public officer specified in column 1 of the schedule, or any reference to the secretary for C and ED, or any reference to C and EDB, then it will be construed as to mean the new officer. That is the secretary for INT. Okay. Page 5 is the schedule. That is the substitution of references to Public Governance and Policy Bureau, and the Secretary for Commerce and Economic Development will be construed to mean Secretary for Information and Technology, and Commerce and Economic Development Bureau will be construed to mean the Innovation and Technology Bureau. The schedule is just the same as the resolution passed on the 29th of October last year. So, this resolution made under the IGCO. So we have scrutinized the text, and members have no major comments. Many of us here were also members of the subcommittee to consider the original resolution. So perhaps we have dealt with the various issues involved already. Any comments on the English text, please? The English text is just the same as the last resolution. Since the subcommittee is set up to scrutinize the new resolution, perhaps we should look at the text as well. Any comments from the legal advisor, please? No? Then we've been very efficient, because what we do today is just a repetition of what we did last year. But that doesn't mean that we are not being prudent. Many of the issues have been thoroughly debated in the last subcommittee, and there is no need to revive the discussion. Secretary, please explain the timetable to us. If scrutiny of the notice is completed, then a report can be made to the next HC. We can't make it this Friday, and the next Friday is a public holiday. So the earliest HC date is the 8th of May. And then the earliest date for the Secretary to move this resolution is the 27th of May. And for members to move amendments, the deadline for giving notice is the 11th of May. Thank you. All right. If members want to amend the notice, please, the deadline for notification is the 11th of May. I believe members who are present have no intention to amend the subsidiary legislation. And as said by the Secretariat, please note the deadline for giving your own amendments, notice for amending the notice. AOB? No, then I don't believe we have any AOB items. And I don't see the need for another meeting. Thank you very much. Thank you, representatives from the government. Thank you.